Congratulations, Meta Eggers. You have found another Meta Egg. This one with the legendary DCP on the Syzygy of albums and films. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Hello, sir. I'm sending a message to Andreas right
Dave.
now. So,
What are you
hello.
doing, Dave? Dave.
uh,
Today we are looking at we might be looking at more. I don't know. It depends on if David can talk me into it or not. But he has an idea of a double feature, which is the albums by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Double Fantasy and Milk and Honey. Correct me if I'm wrong at any time, Dave.
Sure.
David. I don't even like calling you Dave. Dave, calling you Dave feels icky.
Just don't call me late for dinner. That's all I say.
I won't call you CIA. All right. So the other pairing. Okay. So it's Double Fantasy, Milk and Honey, and The Haunting of Julia.
Yeah.
Who is the director of Haunting of Julia? Here, we'll go ahead.
Let's look it up. I can't remember.
Yeah. Let's start by doing that.
It's a very obscure movie. Not many people have seen it.
I know. I think that the main issue that the movie had was that it was like postponed because the time on it was 1977. As I watched this, I remembered a lot of old research that I did for it that had nothing to do with the pairing that you had made. Because I watched it in relationship to Rosemary's Baby and its connection to the WTC. Because this movie actually, it doesn't say it right here, but I bet you if you looked it up, its actual release date is September 11th, like 1981, I think.
Is that what it says? Go there at the
not right here. I know it was made in like 77. It was like in limbo for a long time. Like it was in weird production limbo.
Click on 1977. Sometimes IMDb, if you just do that,
release date September 11th, 1977, and the film
so that was
festival.
that was the earliest release date. Yeah, click on that. Let's see about the United States. September 11th,
May 29th.
Right. So this is part of this. So why is it?
Oh, look right here, September 11th, 1981. So it was September 11th twice, bro.
Yeah, and it's also the first and the last. So it went around the whole world from 1977 until 1981, and it began and ended with September 11th.
That's brilliant, right? Don't you think that's cool?
That. Oh yeah. No, I've done deep dives on this a long time ago.
No, I did deep dives on this, but it was a long time ago. I did not really revisit my notes or anything. It's just that while I was watching it, like the context of the album, especially Double Fantasy, especially with the long history that we've already talked about in the first two episodes, like it's a lot. Like you see it with a new light when you're seeing it through John Lennon eyes, you know?
Sure.
But all of the, like, there's weird foreshadowing and even the names of the tracks, but certainly like the topics of the tracks and stuff. There's a lot of
repeatedly,
like a lot about them teaching their son about death. It's weird, bro.
It's true. That's why I feel like when I watch this pairing that this is like a thing for Sean, and like I don't know, like I don't want to offend Sean, but I'd love him to see this. I would be so curious as to his thoughts on it. I mean, I think it's kind of beautiful. Like it's weird to like, it's like there's the way that the movie's shot. There's kind of a glow that's like, I don't know if you call that like the exposure or whatever's going on, but it's like it's so like photographic. Like it's the cinematography of The Haunting of Julia. It's like it's a strange thing. It's really warm or something. But it also, you know, there's layers to the plot that are so weird and so complex that actually relate to you know, the English and them being allies of the Nazis for the, you know, the first part of World War II. And that plays directly into the plot because she's trying to contact her dead child, and she ends up contacting another child, and it's
see, okay, yeah, I need you to remind me a little bit of the plot because, you know, you did not mix the words in with this one like you did the other ones.
Yeah, it's true.
You get what I'm saying?
I didn't do that for a few reasons, and part of it is that
I think it's better without it. I think it is better without it because, like I said, I have notes, and I think we'll go over the notes because I think my notes are important and I kind of have it where I won't press play, but we can kind of maybe I have to refresh it. I can kind of get it to fast forward and go through it just based off of your Twitter page. Does that make sense?
Or you could go to the website too, because I put it up before the call without a picture. But yeah.
Oh, so it's on the sync book?
It's
you know what, man? Hold on, bro. I don't mean to derail the conversation, but can we talk about that video you guys talked about on Sync Tank today?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, that's fine.
The guy, the Synchro Mystic guy, who's like basically like, there's like a little bit of distaste in that voice of his, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. But I found it very enjoyable. It's fun. Yeah. I liked it because it's like, that's what we're looking at, different speculating on what people are about. And he like totally like was analyzing us from the outside. And so and for me, like experientially, I see the organic nature of how we kind of found the others. So like, and how that developed. And so, if you're just looking at it, it's like, because in the past, you can look at different people who knew each other and you're like, wait, Francis Bacon knew so-and-so. It's like, it's always the rich people, first of all, for the most part, where you're like, oh, these people knew each other. It's like there was a jet set before jets existed, in a sense, because it's like people would go long distances to meet each other. And if they were noteworthy people, like, and they had enough money, like people would just kind of like collude with each other. And so, but with the internet age, you don't have to be in that position to be connecting with other people in different places. You know what I mean? Like we can, So, if you're like, oh, this person knows this person, it's like, well, yeah, all they had to do was fucking send them a message and connect, like it's not as profound anymore, I don't think. Or at least people connect for other reasons. Like we're not, too
no, but this isn't the first
people.
time I've like, this has happened a couple of times and everybody's like, oh, the mysterious, what happened to Sync Book and all of this stuff. Like, it's like some big mystery or whatever.
Right. So you saw the show. So I was explaining what happened with Alan and Red Eye.
Most of it. I stopped for a second and watched The Acolyte, but I came back.
Okay. Nice. But you watched this and you finished the Sync film. This happened.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I have notes also, which I think is very important to like say that when I first researched this movie, because I researched it because of Rosemary. Okay. Let me try to compose myself and get this out.
Sure.
Rosemary's Baby and 2001: A Space Odyssey and A Planet of the Apes all came out on the same year.
Yeah.
They have what I call is like the Beauty and the Beast theme, which includes like roses, mirrors, shit like that. Shit that you would see in Disney.
Also, the thing with that construction started for the World Trade Center in the same year, 1968. And when you say Beauty and the Beast, what comes to my mind but King Kong, the 1976 King Kong, he dies at the World Trade Center.
1977. So this movie, because it starts in what was the dates on it? So it's like
September
I think 1977
to September 11th, 1981.
Right. So it just all has to do with like the beginning of the groundbreaking of the World Trade Center up into the Beauty of the Beast, like revolving around the
well, keep in mind
1977, 1981 time period. And then it comes up again in like 1999.
Right. Flight 77 too. 77 is a number that's been attributed to 9/11 in actually a variety of ways. So yeah, it definitely feeds itself into that whole clusterfuck.
Not getting too deep, but it's all there. Like that's why I went to this movie. But you went to this movie because of the connection between Rosemary's Baby and John Lennon, and it creates like a different hue. Like the first. I mean, I couldn't believe it happened so quick that the daughter dies. It's within the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes of the movie. Yeah, on a green apple.
On an apple. Right. So with the connotation of John Lennon, like within the first 5 minutes, that's my first notes are John Lennon apple. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also it also has the connotation of like, because sometimes apples have to do with the Beauty and the Beast because it has to do with Adam and Eve and blah, 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 or whatever. And it turns out that like strawberries, apples, and roses are all related somehow.
Yes. I don't know. And oranges too. If you're talking,
they're like the same species somehow. Like so sometimes you'll see that the strawberry is sometimes used, the apple is sometimes used, or the rose is sometimes used.
Yeah.
But that's just like a deep arcana thing. So with the with like this, her daughter eating the apple had a Beauty and the Beast connotation. When I watch it with your John Lennon, it was a completely different like beast.
Sure. Right. Well, you know where I think we talked about this on one of our recent podcasts anyway, but you know, it's worth pointing out that the apple being used as a symbol by Apple Records with the Beatles was admittedly referencing the Son of Man painting. Forget the name of that artist, but where you have the green apple and he's wearing the hat.
Painting?
Yeah, look it up. Son of Man painting.
Look it up, bitch. Do your job.
Yeah.
Where's the Andras?
Yeah, just type. Well, oh yeah. Well, I actually invited Andras. Andreas. It'd be nice if he
Andreas,
jumped on.
Not Andras, but Andreas.
Yeah, you do that sometimes. It's
too many
understandable. They're similar names.
Weird
But
names.
yeah. But if you see this Son of Man painting, most people are familiar with it. He's got like a gentleman's hat, and in the place of his head is a green apple. And so this is the Son of Man, man's son. Manson related himself with the Son of Man. So it's interesting then that you'd have Apple Records. Also, that Apple Computer bought Apple Records at a certain point, and Apple Computer now owns all the Apple Records stuff, which is weird. But yeah. So if you want to jump to that new tab over there.
Well, of course. Okay, so right here, we're dealing with Mia Farrow from Rosemary's Baby and Keira Delay from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And like even their names are weird because like if you remember back, of course you remember, but the whole Mia Farrow and the Beatles' White Album being compared to with Rosemary's Baby, it was like Julia. So there's this weird sense that it was part of the same lineage as your other one, you know?
Right. So she's playing Julia Lofting, and
what am I looking up?
That Son of Man painting. Just put that in.
Son of Man painting.
Yeah, and so you know, Julia was the name of John Lennon's mother.
Oh, the Apple guy.
You see it.
Crown Affair.
Yeah,
picture.
One of those. Yeah, any of those. Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, that guy's got a tentacle behind him. The original doesn't, but yeah,
she's hot.
But yeah, you get the idea. So that one's it. That's a good one to look at. But anyway, you can see it. So,
right, okay.
But yeah, the apple relates to da'at, which is knowledge. So it's a guy who's just, his head is just knowledge, basically. And it speaks to the fall. And then you have the rearranging of the Scrabble pieces in Rosemary's Baby, where it says reeds come with the fall. I think there's even a band named after that or whatever. But yeah, so, and this was John Lennon's last album. And then his first posthumous album is Milk and Honey. And then the Instant Karma EP, which includes 2 songs, Instant Karma and Who Has Seen the Wind. And Who Has Seen the Wind is really insanely applicable at the end of the movie if you see what happens, because the idea is that you're recognizing life in the invisible, like that would be her seeing that child at the end would be invisible to anybody else, so in this it's so and so in the White Album, there's a song Julia that speaks to, according to John himself, it spoke about both Yoko and his mom at the same time. And in fact, there's a Playboy that came out. There's the one where he had the interview, and it was like his last interview, I think, was with Playboy. And if you watch chapter 27, you'll see Mark David Chapman actually pulls that. He buys a copy. I don't know if that really happened in real life, but it happens in
well, I mean, it goes to the it's funny because I had a hard time finding the actual album cover. Like they've edited it to basically be Milk and Honeys now, even if you look it up on, but it's the one that looks like they're in like they're like naked, right? They're like the Garden of Eden.
No, that's two virgins. So
that's another, 2 virgins. Okay.
Yeah, that's another
Yoko. That's the one that he does in chapter 27, or no?
No, and that's also when they met, was that they did two virgins together, and it was just kind of like a fun, weird project. There's actually one point where you can hear John ask Yoko, how much longer do we have to keep doing this? which, but I think he did enjoy it. It's like, it's kind of excessive, what was going on. It's very experimental, but
it's this weird combination of like her giving birth to the devil baby, and then this is like the post-mortem depression afterwards or something, right? You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, every single part of this film has symbolic significance, every little part. So even that it's the throat, because you have the Adam's apple, so she's choking on an apple and she cuts open her throat to try and do a tracheotomy, and then the child dies. And so, and I think the point is like, it's something so traumatic and so extreme, and it's just like no one's expecting it. And so it kind of screams of like, certain historical things that have happened like that, that these people were involved in some kind of removed pop culture kind of way, but still direct,
also, okay, before I go on to my next page of notes, like Peter Straub, I'm pretty sure that the author of this is like some deep arcana Stephen King stuff, right? Because Stephen King has made his entire, like all of his books in one universe. So it's kind of like this meta Easter egg thing that fits together, and it's like self-referential, and like characters walk through one book and into another book, sort of like what Charles Dickens or H.P. Lovecraft did, And so he teamed up with Peter Straub, who is listed as the guy. I didn't know this because I don't read a lot of Straub. The only reason I know Straub is because one of the series that connects all of Stephen King's universe is written with Straub, and it basically connects both Straub and Stephen King's universes into like a multiverse kind of. You get what I'm saying? So theories. This is like The Shining and The Haunting of Julia. Are you ready for this? Or
go for it.
They're in the same universe.
Well, I dig it because they both have that kind of like Bardot kind of feeling of like, this is not real. It's like there's reality, and then there's a break from reality that happens, which is kind of like the going to the sun road in The Shining. It's like they're actually like leaving whatever this place is, and now they're in another reality where he's always been the caretaker.
I mean, yeah, it's like you're talking about the photo at the very end of The Shining, where it basically like zeroes in on the picture, and somehow it's like a time loop.
Right. Well, actually, Thomas and I were talking about this recently because of the comic that he's working on, where we're using the family in The Shining to convey a clephotic reversal of Tetragrammaton.
A clephotic reversal of Tetragrammaton.
Yeah. So like, because The Shining is such a neurotic, dysfunctional family that it works really well to communicate that. Also, that you have kind of like a Greek mythological thing that's going on with The Shining, like the way he dies in the labyrinth, Stanley Kubrick's first production company was called Minotaur, like Minotaur Productions.
Yeah.
So like, I think even The Killing was produced by Minotaur. So he's playing the Minotaur getting killed by Odysseus. So Danny basically becomes a symbolic Odysseus, right? Or something.
This movie, however, is very symbolic. Am
I conflating stuff because Odysseus fought the Cyclops? I forget. But the Cyclops had fought in a space odyssey
around here,
because the Odyssey of Space Odyssey is like he's fighting the Cyclops. That's what Hal is. So like it is literally the Odyssey in certain ways. And the same thing goes for The Shining, of where he went with it, because he did something different than King had in his book. There's no like the like foliage animals coming to life and all this kind of stuff. But there's definitely something to be said for like Apollo as the shining one. And when you look at Danny's sweater with the Apollo thing, you're obviously going to go to, well, it's a rocket, and we're talking about the Apollo missions, but then what was the Apollo mission symbolic of? Like that the eagle has landed, and so it's just steeped with really intense symbolism. And then this movie for me just like takes 2001 and Rosemary's Baby and just like kind of takes it to another place. And the fact that it's such an obscure movie really like actually adds to that for me, because this is so esoteric in a way. It's just
it's a cult. It's like kind of hidden in a way, and like we said, it's pretty much because it came out kind of wonky. Like the movie's was old by the time it actually hit American audiences,
right?
And it does though, because both like 2001 and Rosemary's Baby have that whole theme of like bringing like a star child about, like,
Yes.
one's a devil baby, but at the very end of 2001 you see like the baby, you know,
Right.
like
Both
orbiting
movies are
Jupiter.
about childbirth. 2001 encodes the 777 lightning flash. If you look at the English gematria for the titles of Dawn of Man, Jupiter mission 18 months later, and Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite. So if you add all those letters up, it totals 777, which denotes the lightning flash or the Shefa that extends through the Kabbalistic tree. If you look then at Rosemary's Baby, it's showing you a clephotic reversal of that. So you're
Where
getting
was
a
this film though? Was this filmed in like London? It's not New
London.
York.
I think it's filmed in London.
Okay.
I think so. You'd have to check, but
Because
sure.
they're definitely like driving on the other side. They might be Spain because the first release.
Well, in the movie it's supposed to be London because this is, or at least England, because this is the whole thing with the kid is that he was a German kid, the kid that she contacts, right? So it was like he was being discriminated against once the like from the children, like the children were relating to things politically. So it gets really weird because the kids killed the kid, or a girl killed the kid. It's so freaking weird. In the sandbox or whatever, and there was like some weird magic going into it or whatever. It's been a while since I've watched this movie with sound, but that's the premise, and so that's the little girl that she's interacting
you're talking
with.
about the park scene, aren't you? There's a scene where they're at the park
And
and this movie.
there's the turtle in the sandbox, and so
Yeah,
she
they
picks up
killed the
the
turtle.
scalpel, and then they see, why does she have a scalpel, and she freaks everybody out, but it's because that was a murder scene. And so she's ended up just from being open and doing an imperfect circle, because the movie's called Full Circle.
Yeah, but that's the song.
But
where
that's
he's
the
like,
thing is that they
I'm
left.
just watching the wheels go round, or whatever. Like
Yes. So
and
when
it's
she goes to
talking
the
about
park,
being on a merry-go-round.
yeah, and she's taking
In the
photos of the
park.
wheels. Yeah.
And by the way, you might not have noticed, but in the background, multiple times, there's the Rosemary's Baby like carriage. Let me see if I can find it because it's crazy.
It's true. It is there. You're right. Yeah. So
But I can't get the. Let me see if I can get the. No, the one that's on the website is a little wonky. Let's see here. It like, even though the seance scene, you know, the seance scene.
Yeah, where they leave out the person and then they have an imperfect circle.
Right,
They were
right,
supposed to have
right.
a
That's
certain
what you were
number of
just
people.
mentioning, but there's
Well,
like
it's
a thing
yeah,
to
but that's the
that.
whole, that's the whole
Hold on.
movie. That's why it's called, it has that name of Full Circle, that they didn't have a full circle, and meaning that their ritual was imperfect. And so this then speaks to us
What's
repeating.
exactly the storyline? What actually happens at the seance? Because at the words, I kind of like, without the words, I kind of forgot.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
they contact something, and then somebody removes themselves from the circle, and so now they've opened it up. It's just, the point is that it's an improper ritual, because they're
Because that was the one of the other names for it. It has two different names. It has the
it has
Haunting of
two
Julia and an
working names.
Imperfect Circle.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Full Circle,
Full Circle.
which, by the way, is also the name of a Doors album post Jim Morrison.
There it is. Hold
And
on. I'll show you. Okay. I got
James and
the.
John
Look at
relate to
this.
each other because Jim Morrison's birthday is John Lennon's death day.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see.
Which is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception.
Right. I mean, I know that, but
right.
Let's see. Others might not know that. Let's see if I can present this real quick, because my jaw dropped, and this again is like kind of goes to talk about, like, you see it right there. Right there is and it happens in the background multiple
Right, with
times.
the tree, in relationship to the tree, it goes behind the tree like that. And so it's like every little level of this movie, I feel like, has symbolism tied into it. Let's not forget to point out that so this is sitting here watching the wheels go round and round, and this kid's on this wheel spinning, and she's taking pictures, which is a still image of the thing that's in movement. And so she
there
walks
it is right there,
behind
and
the
then
tree,
it
and
shows
it goes,
up again, but
and
it's almost
it
like the
hides
exact one. It's crazy, dude.
Totally. And that's literally what she's doing. She's sitting there watching the wheels go round and round. Now you'll notice that this album ends. This is Double Fantasy stripped down. It ends right when David Bowman dies, and he gets killed by Hal for all intents and purposes. It's a glowing red eye in the house that takes him out. in the end, and he dies in the basement. And so there's the part 2. I think I mentioned this last week or the week before, was that in Double Fantasy Stripped Down, you have this line of "make him an offer he can't refuse, ha ha ha," like it's a joke. And that, of course, is a reference to The Godfather, which came out prior, and the to the album, and the that is a reference to killing the racehorse, because when he says "make him an offer he can't refuse" in The Godfather, what does he do? Who is
Which
that
is what
person that he's talking about, that offer? It's when he cuts the head off the racehorse and sticks it in the guy's bed. And then this
right.
then seems to relate to what is it? The
The
Killing
joke,
by Stanley Kubrick,
the
where
killing, the killing.
they're killing the racehorse. That whole movie centers around killing this racehorse. Red Rum was a famous racehorse at the time of The Shining. But you also have, I was talking about this before, but yeah, you have the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band has a still from The Killing in the cover. If you look up the making of the Beatles album, a cover of Sgt. Pepper, you can see they used, what's his name, something Curry. It's one of the actors. It's one of the screenshots is a cutout on that cover where he's got the gun aimed and he's pointing it at the Beatles. So he's actually appears behind the shoulder of one of them. Who is it? Ringo or something? I forget. I have to look again. But
So I have notes made down here, because the way that Double Fantasy is made, it goes John Lennon, Yoko Ono, John Lennon, Yoko Ono, John Lennon, Yoko Ono. There's a couple that are paired up, but it's basically back and forth. So it's like this weird, like masculine, feminine thing, right? But that also plays through in the movie when you're watching Julia. It's like even when Yoko's singing, it's usually there's a weird theme throughout of like the different stages of the female. Like there's the virgin, there's the mother, there's the crone, so to speak. But when they're all talking to each other, they're like being expressed by Yoko. So there's this weird, like John Lennon is the masculine and Yoko Ono is the feminine interplay, like during the whole film too. It's wild.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely, Double Fantasy is absolutely an album for Sean, and they make that really freaking clear at times in the album. You know, for the most part, it's like, and it's like, don't be afraid to be afraid. It's like it has this feeling of like kind of like a goodbye album, and I don't know what that would be like for Sean to listen to that, because it's so direct, it's so unmistakable, and they have all these other people listening to this album, like
Don't be
myself and you,
scared. There's all kinds
and
of stuff that's like saying bye, so to speak.
it feels like that. It looks like that, and that's so. It's just so strange. It's like it feels like it's a scheduled thing, and I'm actually, I lean in the direction that we're literally just looking at synchronicity and the nature of how things align themselves. Like I don't see a conspiracy here, you know. So what is this? This discussion, something that an egg should cover. I believe I'm going to start a YouTube channel that talks about. Okay, all right, whatever. Do it.
Call it Feta-beg.
Oh, I missed the end. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so here I'm gonna revert back to my notes. Holy shit, the best part. This is verbatim what I wrote. Holy shit, the best part is losing you. Because that's what the whole theme is about, like her losing her kid and like looking for it. But the way it's like, stop the bleeding, and then suddenly you know the movie's about Macbeth, and the first thing she does is like start trying to wash her hands and stuff.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah. And then if you look at where Kiss Kiss starts right after the death with Kiss 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 Kiss. So Kiss Kiss Kiss, like that's the whole thing, is that their relationship's ruined. Her and her husband. And there's no way to ever mend that, because it's just so it's so traumatic, it's so horrific that they'll never be able to really connect again. And he goes in one direction and she goes into hers. But it's just it's so ridiculously applicable. It's insane. But yeah, I mean,
oh, here's another one. She always dresses like Ono, when Ono starts singing, like her dress almost looks like vibrant, like fashionable, like Yoko's.
Right.
And then the scene changes when she takes her stuff off and she picks up that radio and it starts playing Beautiful Boy.
Yeah.
That's an amazing scene.
Yeah, and they look out the window and there's like the kids playing in the road at the end, very end of the song. So
And
kind of like,
then, like, what
yeah,
there's the whole mirror part in it too, which again, like
right,
Beauty and the Beast, like the
sure.
man, I looked him up too, the individual who, let's see, where's The Haunting of Julia? This guy.
Yeah, so this guy feels to me like he's kind of playing John. If
Do you
anybody
know
in this
who
movie is playing
what he's
John, it's
played
him.
most recently?
What's that?
He was
He's in
Albert
Oppenheimer?
Einstein in Oppenheimer.
That's the same guy?
That's the same guy, dude.
You're blowing my mind. I had no
I
idea. Oh,
know,
that's explosive. Dude, you're
right?
tripping me out right now. So this is the guy who plays the piano
You're
in
right.
Full Circle. Yeah, what the
Well,
fuck?
the first time you meet him is basically when it says like beautiful, 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 beautiful
Right.
boy. With
It's
like the
true.
whole words of the whole thing, like everything, that whole it's
Oh,
intense.
dude, you know that there's a weird connection too, with Black Christmas, because Keira DeLay is the one suspected of the murder in Black Christmas, and then at the end we find out it wasn't really him. Spoiler alert! But we think that it's him, and it's over an abortion because she aborted her baby, and he's losing his shit. And you're led to believe while you're watching Black Christmas that he's pissed off at her for the abortion, and he's killing people in the sorority because he's tripping out on it. But it turns out, no, he was just really upset that she got an abortion, and he appeared like, and we, the audience, consider the worst from him. But there's a scene in that movie. I don't know if you've seen Black Christmas anytime relatively recently, but there's a scene with the piano place, right? Like they totally connect with the piano thing. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like he has a
There's multiple
breakdown
scenes with
at
pianos
a
and stuff.
piano store in
Right.
Black Christmas. And so like
Oh,
even, yeah, so like they totally they and so you have this abortion thing because it's Roe, right? It's like Roe versus Wade. Rosemary is called
right.
Roe. Like
Right.
Mark Leclerc used to like to point that out, but the thing is that Rosemary's Baby came first, so that's a sync,
Right.
you
I mean,
know?
it is about abortion, but like both of them in a weird way are about like she kills her daughter. She's covered in
Right,
blood. Like
right.
she
It's
sticks
true.
a knife down her throat trying to get
Right,
it's messed up.
right. Yeah.
It's
Who is the
messed up.
actress in Black Christmas? I feel like that relates, but I can't remember Black
I don't
Christmas
know. I don't
very
know.
well.
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, but it
You're
definitely
making
like
me work for it.
that's one of the other ones that ties in here for sure. Um, symbolism wise. You
Sym
know, and yeah.
Symbolically speaking, of course.
Well, Keir Dulley's character in Black Christmas is very similar to his character in The Haunting of Juliet. Like they feel like the same guy. You know, he has the exact same attitude, the exact same issues. We're like, oh, this guy's a fucking piece of shit, kind of.
I really never got too far into
Not Black Dahlia, but you're getting
not
into Jason
a
Barrera
delay.
territory. Oh, Black Delay, Black Christmas. But yeah, yeah,
You're not like Dario. 1974,
yeah.
originally Silent Night, Evil Night in the United States, and retitled Stranger in the House.
Olivia Hussey. That's who I'm looking for.
Who you calling a hussy?
I'm calling Olivia one.
So the
Um,
Keir Delay, I only really got into him because he was in a Harlan Ellison thing that took place up in Canada. But other
mm.
than him, I've never done a sync breakdown of him outside of 2001 and 2002.
Oh, I have. I think it's on my blog somewhere. But
And
yeah,
this movie, of course.
and yeah, but yeah, there's definitely that's the sync web right there. So it's another connect. It seems like a connecting piece in that. Um, everything's
Uh,
about reversal. So like, and it's this choice of like the Star Child or the Antichrist. And so like, and this idea of a reflection. So you have, this is a day for Christ, Black Christmas, and then it's black, it's like black. It's like the
right.
same thing as saying Black Sabbath,
Same
right?
idea. I get you. That's cool. That's dope.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. So, you have the child that's born of the Klipot, which is the outside ones, and then you have the child that's born of Tetragrammaton, which is the Star Child, which is the Christ. And so, and the two kind of like coexist. Like Rosemary's Baby is the same length as 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you start Rosemary's Baby on the Dawn of Man, when it says the Dawn of Man, they will be the same length. Like is that just happenstance or what? because they really feel like they play off of each other in this specific Kabbalistic way. You know.
Upon its release, Black Christmas received mixed reviews, but it has since received critical reappraisal, with film historians noting it for being one of the earliest slasher films. It is also
is it a
praised for
slasher
its
film? Yeah, I guess
influence
so.
on John Carpenter's Halloween. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's 100 times better than Halloween, in my opinion, but whatever.
Come on, bro. But I mean, it's Carpenter, brah. You can't.
Right. I mean, I
pick
guess if
on,
you're looking
like,
at Halloween like that, it was a pioneer kind of movie. Like, I mean, that it was it was like this became a template that other people drew upon, and it was original at the time. Like, I can acknowledge that, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to really enjoy watching it very much personally. Yeah, but I will
So,
enjoy watching
okay,
Black Christmas.
wait. Ah, dang it. Recorded October, November 1979, August, December 1980, 82, 83. But Lennon was dead. Lennon died in 80?
He died
80.
December
December
8th,
80.
1980.
And of course, right, like the date we were talking about, which is the same date the Immaculate Conception was. So,
Right.
okay, wait. I'm just thinking out loud here, because basically Milk and Honey and Double
Palestine,
Fantasy had to be recorded at the same time, right? And Milk and
Jerusalem,
Honey is
the land of milk and
basically
honey.
right. It's post-hominous though, like after he's gone to heaven, so to speak.
Yes, totally, exactly. And so, what happens when you're watching it with the movie? Keir Delay dies, Milk and Honey starts. Like, I didn't manipulate that timing. That's the timing.
Oh, she says it right here. The album's life title came from Ono, who explained that it referred to their journey to the U.S., the land of milk and honey.
Right.
But also in the scripture, the land of milk and honey is where you go after you die, as a
Right.
promised land. Ono went to on to say, so it's very strange that I thought of that title, almost scary, like someone up there told me to call the next album Milk and Honey. The
Right.
cover is an alternate take on the same photo session that produced the front cover of Double Fantasy.
Right.
So its
They go
photo appears
together.
in color.
That's the rationalization, is that these albums are more than complementary. They're like, basically, it's like a double album that's 2 albums, if that makes sense.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, so there's other crazy things too, like, it's really, oh my god.
What's at the end? Because after this ends, is that the music from the movie?
After this ends, I think I turned the volume up for a second on the film. Does that happen?
Uh-huh.
And
And then
then
it
I
goes
come
back to
into the Instant Karma EP.
Yeah. You're right.
Right. And then that's literally what happens at the end of the movie. It's Instant Karma.
It's like nesting in the same fashion that Rosemary does. Yeah, because both in Rosemary's Baby and in this movie, she's nesting. Like,
Yeah.
there's even that song about cleaning the house or something, like cleaning.
Cleanup time. And cleanup
time.
time, she's literally going into the house for the first time since her daughter died, and she leaves the hospital or wherever she was at. And then she's
taking all of her shit.
She's gonna have to clean up the house.
Right.
It's
wild.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so the radio on the piano, Sean Lennon, Beautiful Boy, and then it's like I say, the fucking Rosemary's Baby in the park. The Buddha is in the park. Will's going around. Mary go around on the playground. That's the Rosemary's Buggy right there, because it shows back up, and I was like, look at that the turtle.
Yeah, there's also
this goes back to the Stephen King thing. The killing of the turtle has significant in the Peter Straub and Stephen King universe.
Does it?
That means something.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't know why you should take my word for it, but that's what it means. It's the Beauty and the Beast song. Oh yeah, tra la la. Like the song that Yoko Ono sings is almost like, if you listen to it, it's the Beauty and the Beast. Like, it's like ta na 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 na.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And it feels kind of it feels relatable to the music in Rosemary's Baby as well.
Oh yeah.
Which is also Who Has Seen the Wind really reminds me of that too. But yeah, there's like there's the whole thing where he has a song where losing you, where he says I can't even call you on the telephone, and when he said after he says that he goes hi mama or something like that, and it's like he's talking about loved ones who have passed who they can't stay in touch with, and then there's like the little girl shows up in that scene for a second and then disappears, so she like
Yeah.
thinks she saw her kid, but then she's gone, and yeah, oh man.
Okay, the seance scene is 120,000% from Rosemary's Baby. Possession is a total, like as soon as the lady's possessed, it's a totally new song, and it talks about going hell and back. And again, the whole album is chilling when you put it in context of John Lennon's death.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and it feels like that's just what it is, and so that has a really kind of disorienting effect somewhat, because it's like time, it doesn't care about time. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like time becomes irrelevant in the face of what it's communicating, and there's like a time travel element that I feel in that, which I was saying before the last time we were talking about, like, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Norman fucking Rockwell. It feels very much like time travel, and where something's changed. So it's like you go back in time and it's like, well, if you could shift this, and then it brings up questions of like, would you want to even shift this, even if it's terrible? Because what is the purpose of it? What comes out of it? You know, is sacrifice for nothing, or does it have something to it? You know?
Okay, so this is my notes where I got to the beautiful boy scene, and it's so the dude, the Oppenheimer guy, right?
Yeah.
And then like the next scene it says like, I don't want to face it. And she's like washing her hands again, which is like so Macbeth, you know.
Right.
But then she goes to like the newspaper and she's looking up.
You're talking about in the library?
Yeah. She's looking up the article about like the dead boy or something.
Right, the boy that was killed over his nationality.
Right. She's looking up stuff about him, but at the top of the newspaper, outside of the article, it says Hitler wants peace.
That's right. And it connects to what happened with the kid. And so keep in mind, John Lennon was in How I Won the War. Have you seen How I Won the War?
No,
like
I've seen pictures of it. I haven't watched any of that stuff.
Okay, so it's got the psychiatrist from A Clockwork Orange in there who's like who's talking to Alex of like, what do you think when you look at this picture or whatever, and he's like, oh, no time for the old and out, love, just come to read the meter or whatever. She's in there, and she's not in many movies, by the way. But How I Won the War makes jokes at certain points about like people still ascribing to being allies with the Nazis with England, and so that connects in with this movie in a weird way. But keeping in mind, it's like he had this movie, How I Won the War, that I don't know of many movies that poke fun at that at all, because that's pretty you know, like that's a controversial thing to point out, I imagine, at least in media, especially at that time, to draw attention to that, like how, you know, that people, the country shifted. Did everybody in the country shift, including the royalty and the government officials and whatever? But you know, he had his whole campaign was a bet in for give peace a chance, right? And you have war is over if you want it, and like, but it started with like How I Won the War, and so it's almost like he won the war with peace, you know, like, and it you know, you know what I mean? Like it's that whole question of like, do you want this? Because if you want this, you could actually have it. Just we don't realize that we could have what we actually want, you know. Like I think freedom just works that way. Like if you want to be free more than anything else, you probably will be. You know what I mean? Like, but
well, I mean, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Right, but if you ain't nothing, if you ain't free, it's kind of a double negative, and so it kind of cancels itself out. You're like, wait, so if you're not free, you're free. Wait, what? But you know, you ain't nothing if you ain't free. Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Okay, so continuing, nobody told me there would be days like this. That song fit perfect. It was unbelievable.
Right. So, well, you know, because the song that it's responding to is Mama said that there'd be days like these, and so Mama's not around. And so, you know, almost like ghostly in this case of the story. Yeah, nobody took his Mama's not there to tell you that there'll be days like this. Well, strange days indeed too, because you have his death day is Jim Morrison's birthday.
Right.
And it's the Feast of Immaculate Conception, and everything intersects with this. Right.
That's creepy.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's James and John. And keep in mind that James and John were the two disciples on the right and left hand of Jesus who said, can we be, when you have your throne, we be at your right and left hand? And Jesus says to them, it's not won by favoritism, but by fitness. So like that whole thing with James Morrison and John Lennon, like the way that they relate to each other,
Yeah.
it feels like that. Yeah, once again, really intense symbolism there.
But speaking of which, "Oh Sanity," the song title, is the next song, and I mean, it goes again perfectly with the themes of the movie, but also like there's a guy who looks like Kubrick, the guy who dies that falls over the. Do you agree with me that he's like a Stanley Kubrick kind of?
Which guy are we talking about?
There's a guy that she goes to who ends up falling over the banister down the staircase and dies later in the movie.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was that was a boy who was involved, I think, in the murder of the other kid. So he was like older now. And then she goes to find the girl. And then when the girl dies, that's the girl who she's encountering at the very
she
end.
just leaves like this whole wake of death.
Right. So who she initially contacts when she's trying to contact her child, if I recall correctly, was actually the boy who was killed. And so she has sympathy for the boy, and then at the end she sees the girl, and the girl's the one who killed him because she has now just died as an elderly person in like an asylum that she went and visited. And so like, yeah, it's really a weird, complex story there. But
it's really like layered. And we were talking about this earlier because there's so many different ways to cut this. You have to know, or at least be aware of the album. You have to know, or at least be aware of the movie. That's helped because I've seen this movie before. Some people might not understand like all the baggage that's there. And then,
well, this is why this one's so valuable in a way.
You need to know current events of what happened to those people.
That's true too. Yeah, if you don't know all of these factors, you're not going to have the same experience. You're going to look at how musically it might align, and you might catch little ironic things said, but the actual depth of what seems to be communicated,
with like Mia Farrow knowing like her sister being in the White Album, and it's a mess, dude.
Yeah, Mia and Prudence Farrow were both in India with the Beatles before production started for Rosemary's Baby.
And then the Rosemary's Baby being the filming location of where Lennon was killed. It's just a mess. It's a big mess.
Right. Yeah.
Like with a Volkswagen Beetle. It reminds me of like pickup sticks. You know what I'm saying? How like all of it's like laying on top of each other. And you got to be like, well, this goes with this. And this goes with this. But I don't want it to touch that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For an analogy.
No, it works. Yeah. And so like, yeah, what happens at the end of the movie but instant karma, you know? Like that's kind of like you could have named this movie Instant Karma and it would have worked. You know what I mean?
It would have totally worked. I know there's one scene where she goes to the Kubrick looking guy and like the song ends right when the lights turn off. That was dope.
Right. Yeah. I mean that the album is literally just like it starts where it starts. Right. And the first album ends where it ends, and then those two are attached, and then the EP
there's like an extra track, and you cut out all of the like re-recordings from 2000. It's weird because the remastered versions of these albums came out in 2001,
right?
But up underneath the supervision of Yoko.
Oh, you went silent. You're muted.
Dark. Okay. I went dark. Could you handle this on your own? If I just like, if it went down and it was just like, boom, David, go.
Could I just go? I could handle it, but it definitely wouldn't be my preference, you know?
Yeah, that would be no fun whatsoever.
You know, because I could do that at any point myself anyway, you know? That's not how I roll necessarily. I like the back and forth. But,
I gotta admit though, man, it's just like this was fun. Oh, like there was a couple of like even in my notes, I like a couple of times I'm like, holy cow, holy shit, holy cow, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like
Patrick Svek is super hip to this one too, by the way. Patrick Svek has been along the journey for a lot of these times.
Thinking.
Yeah. I mean, when he met Sean Lennon, you know, after a concert, Sean Lennon like randomly brought up to Patrick about his grandmother Julia. and Patrick is like being as being polite, but he's like Sean doesn't even know how much I
Sean,
actually know about his own family, like it's somebody else's family, but like it's one of those things. It's like music royalty or something, where it's like, yeah, I know all about you guys,
Okay,
at the
next
same
song,
time though,
Borrowed
I don't
Time.
yeah, what's that?
Next song, Borrowed Time.
Yeah,
Again,
living on borrowed time. Yeah.
intense, like totally chilling in context of his death.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
But a
strange
great
that
song, like done really good. Then
right.
Your Hands. This is crazy. Do you remember the scene that Your Hands takes place in? It's when she's sitting there and she's like
Mhm.
sleeping and the little girl is rubbing on every part of
Oh,
her body.
totally. Yeah, the ghost
Is
girl
like it
is
putting
yeah,
on her lips and on her shoulder, but the
yeah.
whole song is like Your Hands, and there's the whole washing of the hands Macbeth thing going on.
Right. It also
That
was
was
kind of
really blatant to me. I thought it was like kind of
right.
like did the whole little snapping at the TV like Leonardo DiCaprio and
Yeah, you're pointing at it. Yeah, you're the meme. Yeah, I gotcha. Totally. Yeah. All roads lead to you or whatever. These streets.
creepy red scene, Your Hands.
Mhm.
Boy, the title is incredible. Wow, Kubrick died because he falls off the banister. I was hoping it would have been really cool if it was like the shining carpet when he landed, but it was like this
I don't
weird
know if that guy looked like Kubrick to me. I don't think I've ever had that thought, but that's funny that you think that.
I did. Of course, I was thinking of Kubrick the whole time for some reason, just because of the
Sure.
2001 and everything that's involved in that. And I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
It was just
It's
how it
it
happened.
feels like it's like this is the thing with the Immaculate Conception. It's like this to me feels like a marriage of sorts. This is literally like marrying these two different things that were on these tracks and then bringing them
They have
together
like
into
a
one thing.
kid. They give birth to. I mean, it gives birth to all this death. A whole bunch of people
Mhm.
die, but like they
Right, but
don't.
that's not the
Abortion,
child. That's
he's
completely
impotent.
unrelated. Yeah. That's
Pure
the
delay is
kicker of the
impotent.
film. Oh yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, well he's done. He's emotionally rocked, with this event that's happened. And
Right.
he
And in
can't
the Beauty and the Beast theme, the Beast is always impotent. Like, Beauty and Belle are not going to have a baby. King Kong and what's her face, they're not going to have
oh,
a
I see
baby.
what you're getting at. Yeah. Totally. Hmm.
But then that's the same thing. That's why it relates to like Harold and Maude, is because there's no product from that relationship. You get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the beauty is the Beast and the Beast is the beauty, but there's no devil child or there's no star baby that
Well, in
could
the
come.
case of Harold and Maude, they're in love. Like that is a love story without any sex, without any sexuality.
There's
And
a little
that's
bit of sex. They have sex, and then she like basically that's when she tells him that she's basically gonna kill himself. But they don't show it. They just show them
syndicated, but you don't know completely
relaxed
what's actually
after
going on with them. I mean,
post-coital.
who's that? Isn't that Tom Selleck's first movie? Is it Tom Selleck? I think. Where it's not.
Probably.
Yeah, where he's
But
the
that's not
cop.
Tom Selleck who plays the main person.
No, the
It's
cop.
not Harold.
When they get pulled over by the motorcycle cop, you can look
Oh,
this up, but I'm pretty sure that's Tom Selleck's first movie ever.
hmm,
And the name that they gave him was the name of a famous Nazi like concentration camp SS officer or something. And so the point being, she's a Holocaust survivor. Maud is, and
hmm.
so and
Fact
so he,
check.
and so and yeah, and it's a Volkswagen Beetle. So she's driving this fucking German elite car, right? And then she gets
Right.
pulled over by the cop who it's letting you know, and it's in the credits. It's not in the movie. They don't say his name in the movie. It's in the credits. They give him the name of this SS officer, and so she's basically reacting to the police officer as though he was somebody who was behind the Holocaust. So that's you know yeah,
I don't remember how to spell it. Harold and Maude.
Maud.
Maude. Okay. Plot. So forth. So on.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna
Tom
be
Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt. I said Selleck. Sorry. Sorry,
Oh,
Tom.
well,
Tom
he's
Skerritt.
the dad from like
He's an
isn't he the
alien.
dad from like the second version of Poltergeist? Yeah, Poltergeist 3.
Oh, the third. Yeah.
The third in the house is Tom Skerritt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still,
Well, that one's got 9/11 stuff in it. The third
Space
Poltergeist.
Camp would be Big Bad Mama would have the. There's a lot going on here.
Well, I'm just saying that there's
That
like
would have the word big.
how
And of course,
aptly,
Alien, which is totally an abortion movie.
it's an abortion birth movie in general, depending on how you want to look at it. Because I mean, literally, the alien is like screaming like a baby when it leaves the ship, and it's the mother.
Yeah.
So the ship is the mother. It gets impregnated. The thing gestates inside of her, and then she aborts the mission, quote unquote, and she kicks the giant baby out, whose head is basically a giant dick, because this is all like a psychoanalytic like communication of what the pregnant woman is experiencing, how she's interpreting this. It's like her dream interpretation of this pregnancy, which is interesting that it does relate to Rosemary's Baby in 2001 in that way, because the whole movie is a subliminal gestation. Whereas I guess in Rosemary's Baby, it's not so subliminal. Like they're watching a pregnant woman going through the whole process, But
the song "Grow Old with Me."
Mm-hmm.
Pay
Right.
attention to the mosaics. Let's see. Dude, dead. 2001 remastered, Old Lady in the Wheelchair. It's this "Grow Old with Me," and the old lady comes in the wheelchair, and it's like the wheels going around. Again, it's like, oh, sanity. It's like that whole relationship of like, that's her at an older age where she's in some insane asylum or whatever.
Yes, totally. She like sees herself in that woman, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, she sees her reflection, basically.
But that's also that she's the witch. So there's a witchcraft element in this movie, just like Rosemary's Baby. And that's not just them doing the not full circle that they're supposed to be doing. That's also like what that woman, when she was a girl, what she was up to in the sandbox. So it's very, very, very odd.
Mirror seeing the Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, because there's like it shows somebody like dies in the mirror or is cut. Yoko music, Nobody Told Me.
Right. There's also Hard Times Are Over is the last song on Double Fantasy.
Get yourself together.
And that corresponds to Keir Dulley's death in that, where he's killed by Hal. So it's like Hal's revenge or something. It's like he shut down Hal, and now Hal is back in the form of a glowing red light and just like takes out David Bowman. Like, and while Hard Times Are Over plays and ends just as you see that he's dead.
You want to do a double feature, but my friend, I don't think I have it in me.
Oh, you don't want to do another hour of this, huh?
I don't think I can do another hour because I have to wake up in the morning. But if we were to basically I'll go back and watch Bitter Moon. Here, I'll show people what I'm talking about, because I think that it deserves a little bit of like attention on its own, so to speak. Because Bitter Moon, do you think that that's the way we'll go next, or do you want to try a different one?
Oh, I think that's good. I think it's on a similar track. I just like the idea of just like following the rabbit hole along as things relate to each other more. And I think we could.
But this one, you have Bitter Moon paired with
Lana Del Rey's album Honeymoon. So Honeymoon pairs with Bitter Moon,
and unlike the other ones that we've talked about, there's no real connection between the year that Bitter Moon came out and the year that Lana Del Rey came out, right?
Not that I know of, but as far as I can tell, Lana Del Rey's Honeymoon seems to be like an open letter to Emmanuel Signer.
Is this one up on the sync book?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the haunting of Julia is at the top without an image. I always have an image, but we'll just do one in time.
Okay.
But yeah. You gonna go to the sync book?
The
What are you doing?
So hard to find it. That's because it's a CIA site.
You could just type in the syncbook.com. It's pretty.
Oh yeah, that's usually how it works, right?
Yeah.
Book.com. And then there it is, right there. And then if you go to videos and go to SyncFlix, then this is the research and synchronicity occurring in multimedia This would be a meta egg because it transcends the intention of the artist as well as the original content. So here we have The Haunting of Julia Lennon.
I don't even
I called
know.
it
That's the end
the
title. I just had
Haunting
to
of
come up.
Yoko Ono because I thought it would be a little bit more
It was just
banging.
I uploaded it today from. I downloaded it from Twitter and re-uploaded it here, and that was just why I named it in the moment.
Rosemary's Baby, The Rainbow Designer,
Right. So
Lana Del
there's
Rey,
Bitter
Bitter
Honeymoon.
Moon, right there. There it is.
Yeah. So what's crazy about this one is that you won't really get the full import of what's taking place unless if you like get to the end of the movie and then consider the tracks. Because I start the album as soon as the movie starts, so I didn't do anything other than just align them exact. It does exactly 2 rounds and repeats the first song at the end, which is the title song of was Honeymoon. And so Honeymoon plays 3 times, and it's the only song to play 3 times. So basically bookends the movie. But there's shit that happens in the middle of this that's just unreal, you know.
This is a Polanski movie, so this goes to the same director that did. This comes after Rosemary's Baby. Is that right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is.
But this is closer to 80. This is.
Yeah, because it was what 1980 when
in 92, so it's in the 90s, bro.
Right. And so what's crazy is that you have controversy in all directions. The controversy that happened with Hugh Grant happened after this movie. The controversy that happened with Polanski raping the girl,
Right.
that was 1980, I believe. Wasn't that 1980? I believe it was. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's loaded. But there's something that happens too with like the way that this movie has an arc that comes back around, and it actually that arc like corresponds to the album doubling itself in like a really direct way. So yeah, there's
but I mean, like, even
it fits like a puzzle. Like if you
the
take
movie
this album
poster
and you
put
look
with
at it,
the this is the album cover put with the movie poster, like
right.
they
And
play
so he
off of
did
each
that
other.
poster that way because of America, because he's no longer allowed in America, so he has the red, white, and blue. So he's like making a
I
Hollywood
get it.
film, not in Hollywood, and she's got the
That's
Hollywood tour
ridiculous,
line
bro.
in Hollywood. So I think this album is an open letter to Emmanuel Signer, and she's you know she's playing Polanski's wife in this movie, and she is his wife in real life. So the whole thing just gets super meta. Yeah.
All right, bro. I've got to get some sleep.
You do your thing, man. Thanks for having me. This was super fun.
Was amazing. I got to tell you, I can't iterate enough. Like, it's not false enthusiasm or anything like that. I really kind of want, but and I think that it was mostly because I knew the material and it had meaning to me. But I hope that we did our jobs today, at least in getting people kind of hyped up about it. And I hope that we weren't as disjointed as we have been in the past. Like
I don't mind it. If the listeners mind it, I'm sorry, but I kind of like our style of like we're kind of like processing it simultaneously. So we're
different like because sometimes when you're talking to me, like my mind gets blown, and it's like there's so much to it to even try to explain. Like I don't know. I appreciate your time as always, man. I hope that you're available next week. Maybe we can hit up another one.
Yeah, sounds good.
But
I like it.
I would say everyone, I even put the link in the chat room. Hopefully that link works. That should take you to go and see Bitter Moon before next week for yourself. I know that I've watched it multiple times with my boy, who's probably seen more videos of yours than anybody else besides yourself.
What are you talking about, Zach?
Yeah, Zach. I've been over to with Zach and watched.
I got a couple friends who've seen like everything. I got one local friend who's seen like everything.
The immortal Mike Porter. Thank you so much for being in the chat tonight, bro. The chosen pun, as they call him in the Jedi Council. Everyone, if you are not a member, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell because we have random shit coming out all the time, shorts and different stuff as well. I got the green screen up behind me. You can see it clipped. I got a bunch of scripts, including ones that were written by AI that I'm planning on putting out. And until then, Of course, you can always check out David on the Sync Tank, which airs every Tuesday evening at Andreas Zertus channel.
Yeah, 6 Pacific Standard Time PM.
6 Pacific.
And and also MK Ultras at MK Ultrasound 723. David Charles Plate on Twitter. If you go to my highlights, I have like a lot of movies there, some of which aren't on the website. Babs is hard. Babs has seen every single film I've ever done, basically. So that's
there's some out there, but I watched. But the point was that Benner Honeymoon, he and I have watched multiple times because first off, we were on this like Lana Del Rey kick, but also like that's one of my favorite albums by her, and it goes like as soon as it starts, it's weird because you're not sure if you're watching like the movie.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, no,
it's
I love
wild.
it. Yeah. Actually, that's up there with my absolute favorite top sync films of all time. It feels like putting it together and seeing it in the editing program and the way that the album meets the film. It looked like a fucking key in a lock. Like it really is like it literally like slid into place. I never had to make a single adjustment to that for timing.
I don't know, man. It felt like the same thing would have had to been true on like. Did you make adjustments on The Haunting of Julia? Because there was times where
there's one adjustment with The Haunting. I don't start at the second that it starts. It starts on there's an indicator with the credits at the beginning. But the one difference is I let those albums play out the way that they exist, and then I aligned the EP to the end of the movie. So at the beginning of the movie, I'm aligning it to the beginning. At the end of the movie, I'm aligning it to the end.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's just like,
I think Zach
with that EP, and it fit in there. I was like looking at it, I'm like, there's a slot. What goes there? Fucking Instant Karma immediately came to mind. There was never a question about another thing to put there. You know, you couldn't fit another album there, but it fits the EP. And so, yeah, it's nuts.
And if anybody's curious about the cryptic nature of synchro mysticism, as an individual who has known David Plate for years, I'm still not sure if he's CIA or not.
I was in the BOTA, but that's the only acronym agency that I think I have a real connection to. Zach Bauer just sent me a message. Zach Bauer is watching this? What's going on?
What's up, ZB? Oh shit, we're probably. I think I have other plans for ZB, but until then, guys, thank you, David, so much. I've got to wrap it up here and clean up after myself. Maybe find some food, and I got to go to bed.
Okay, do it.
Vaya con Dios, my brothers, and thank you, White Rabbit, for chilling out. It's good to see you in all of these streams. All right.
Hey do.
What?
Hey do.
What does that mean?
I'm saying bye in Swedish.